Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris here. So today we're going to go through a basic introduction to GitHub Actions. So less so the Git tool and more so on the actual GitHub side. We're going to talk about what actions are, why we might want them, and then we'll create a sample action that you guys can see going. So first things first, what is an action? Well, loosely speaking, it's something that happens when we do something on GitHub. So let's just skip this and set up a workflow for ourselves. And I'll paste in the YAML file just so we can see kind of like how these things are structured and how we might use them. GitHub provides us with some awesome documentation here that we can look at. Customizing when workflows are triggered, manually running a workflow, using an action, running a command, right? So we have all kinds of awesome things that we can do with these actions. And I just want to take you through kind of a simple case, but an effective case that you can add to your projects very quickly and will help you kind of, keep things in order and make sure everything looks good. So we have this YAML file. I know you've got to love YAML. If you're into GitHub, you're gonna love YAML. All right, so you see we start off with a name. That's just to specify what process we're doing here, so just make it descriptive. Next, we have these on triggers. So this means that this particular job is going to run on those things. So as you see here, we have on push to branches main and on pull request to branches main. So that means that this particular action is going to run whenever we push something to main or we make a pull request to main. So that's an incredibly powerful format, right? It's very straightforward and it gets us exactly what we want, which is this check every time we push something to main or we make a PR to push it to main. Next, we actually have the job. The job we've set up is this run linters job. It has a name. Again, just make it descriptive. In this case, it's run linters. We have what it runs on. We have the steps that it needs to take. Now, this is important. So basically, the first thing that it needs to do is it needs to check out the repository. Then it needs to set up Python. We're going to set it up with Python 3.8. You should set this up with whatever matches your project, right? Then we're going to install the required packages. In this case, we're installing some linters. So linters are kind of, they verify or they maintain code quality or that it adheres to a certain structure. We're using the linter black for this example, which is a very strict but awesome linter. Then we're going to run them. And these are the actual commands that you would use. So if you've ever used Docker before, this is very similar to a Docker compose file. Obviously, it isn't, but it's very close to it. It's the same kind of format where you're setting up some things for it to do, giving it some instructions, and then it's going to execute on those instructions when you hit one of those triggers. So I am going to make sure that I rename this YAML file to something descriptive just to keep everything in order. Once we've done that, we're good to click the green Start Commit button. We can just leave these as defaults for now. I'll add in the description, so we just write a simple description to make sure that it's clear what we're doing, and we can go ahead and commit. Okay, so once you've done that, all that's left to do is head back to the Actions tab on GitHub. We can look at either all workflows or a specific Actions workflow. We can check and see what happened by clicking on this linter option. We can click into it to see exactly where it failed, and you'll see that there's some kind of error. Something is wrong. So how do we fix that? Well, we'll need to do everyone's favorite thing and head over to the terminal. Okay, so now that we're in our terminal, we can go ahead and ls-l in order to see if we already have this repository cloned. It appears as we do, so we can just go ahead and cd into it. Now that we've done that, we can use git status to see what's going on here. We can see that we have one commit both. So we're going to go ahead and first do a git pull. We have divergent branches. We need to specify how we can reconcile them. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the no rebase command. This looks like a decent merge commit. So we're just going to go ahead and use the command :WQ, enter. That's going to get everything we need. We can see that our working tree is clean, but we are 2 commits ahead of main. Let's go ahead and let's look at the Python file that had the issue. So we can see the file here. Now, in order to determine what's wrong with it, let's go ahead and use the black tool. So in order to get it, we'll just do exactly what we did in our YAML file. We'll pip install it. Now that we've pip installed black, we can go ahead and run it. So let's run it on that particular file. That was called remote feature.py. Looks like it's been reformatted. Great stuff. We get a cake emoji. That's fantastic. If we look back into remote feature, we can't really see a big difference, but the astute among you will notice that we've actually added 2 more spaces. So where before there was 2 spaces, now there are 4. Now we have another file in our directory, so let's just make sure that that is also formatted properly. Again, we'll just write black, and then we'll write cool feature.py. It looks like everything was fine in that file, so we're good to go. Let's go ahead and use get status. Now you'll notice because this you'll notice that this file is modified. Because it's only modified, we can go ahead and use the git commit -am. So we can leave the message apply linter black to all files. Go ahead and commit that. And now that we see everything is up to date and our working tree is clean, we can go ahead and push that straight to main. And we do so. Let's clear a screen and head back to github.com. Now we're back to github.com. You can see this orange dot at the top of our screen, which indicates that our actions are currently running. If we click on the orange dot, we can actually see information about that particular action and what's happening. And if we navigate to the Actions tab, we can see this apply linter black to all files, and that this passes our new action. And so it's that easy. Now we see this green check mark here, letting us know that the most recent commits to main have indeed passed that particular action. It's a very unique and powerful tool, GitHub Actions, and it's definitely something that I would suggest you get into the habit of putting in, especially for little things like linting or, specific file structure names or anything like that where, there's a certain pattern or there's a certain format you want things in. That way, you can always ensure that your repo has those things in the correct format. So that's a very simple introduction to GitHub Actions. These things can do all kinds of really crazy things that we can get into down the road. But for right now, that's where I'm going to leave things. If you liked the video, please go ahead and click like and subscribe if you haven't already. And we will see you on Thursday for the next Get Good video. Thanks.